Home Repair's Video Library presents easy solutions for satisfying results to common problems found in heating, air conditioning, insulation, ceramic tile, carpentry, and painting. Heating. Finding gas leaks. To test for gas leaks, you will need a brush or swab and a crescent wrench. Prepare a liquid soap and water mixture. Mix equal parts liquid soap and water. Trace lines and brush or swab on solution at connections. A leak will bubble the same as in a flat tire. If no bubble, no leak. Remove cover panel if appropriate to check upper gas lines. If leak at a connection is discovered, tighten the connection. Reapply soap and water solution to test that the problem has been solved. Heating. Lighting a pilot. To light a gas pilot, you will need pliers and fireplace matches. We're also going to replace the thermocouple, a common cause of gas pilot failure. You will need a tape measure and a thermocouple replacement kit. During the summer months, you may wish to turn off the gas shutoff valve. You will save money by doing so. To relight the pilot, open or turn on the gas shutoff valve. Remove cover. Turn thermostat to off position. Note the off and pilot positions for relighting. Making sure switch is in pilot position, push red pilot start button while lighting pilot. Hold for 1 minute and then release. If you do not have fireplace matches, put your match in a pair of pliers to give you extra extension to reach the pilot. If the pilot will not stay lit, you may have a faulty thermocouple. Unplug the furnace. Turn off the gas. Loosen thermocouple at temperature control unit. And at burner position. Measure length of thermocouple to determine replacement length needed. Follow instructions on replacement kit for proper assembly. Install pilot or burner position end first. And then connect at temperature control housing. Plug in furnace and turn on gas. Relight pilot. Heating. Thermostat adjustment. There are no tools required for this adjustment. However, remember to first turn the thermostat to the desired temperature setting, then turn to the on position. Heating. New thermostat. To install a new thermostat, you will need only a screwdriver and the replacement thermostat. Before beginning the thermostat replacement, unplug the heat and air conditioning units. Remove old thermostat faceplate. Remove the screws holding the cover exposing the insides of the thermostat. Loosen the screws holding the various wires from the wall. There will be 3 to 4 wires for heat, or if the thermostat controls both heat and air, then there will be 5 wires. Unscrew terminal wire screws. Note the color-coded wires. Remove thermostat wall mount screws and disconnect from wall. Clean wire ends and slip through thermostat backplate. Attach backplate to wall. Loosen terminal screws in the backplate and match color-coded wires to color-coded terminal screws. Wrap wires clockwise around terminal screws and tighten. This thermostat has a clock built in. It is called an automatic setback thermostat. The C in the backplate is for the ground wire lead from the wall. Double check that all screws are secured. Snap on middle section of thermostat and tighten mounting screws. Adjust the thermostat as shown. Adjust temperature settings as desired. Set clock in a clockwise manner. This thermostat has pegs that shut off the systems at night and turn it back on in the morning. Install pegs at desired hours for off and on. Blue is for the lower setting, the nighttime setting, to turn off the system. The red peg is for the hotter setting, to turn on the system in the morning when you want the house to heat up. In this illustration, we have set the off or blue peg at 11 p.m. and the on or red peg at 7 a.m. With this unit, there are 2 extra pegs. They're stored in the faceplate as shown. The cover faceplate snaps onto the thermostat middle section, and the installation is complete. Do not forget to plug in the furnace and air conditioning units. Heating. Changing filters. No tools are required in most cases to change the various filters shown here. Remove cover panel on heat and air conditioning unit. Remove filter. Depending on your model, either simply wash and clean the filter, or if necessary, replace the filter with a new one. Replace the cover. Note the filter change date. To remove the filter from the stovetop vent system, slide or pull down screen depending on your particular model. Either wash and clean the filter in hot soapy water, or if required, exchange old filter for a new one. To change window type air conditioner filter, remove and wash and clean. Or replace with new filter if your unit's filter is of the type that cannot be cleaned. Air conditioning. Breaker troubleshooting. No tools are required for this troubleshooting. A common problem with air conditioning units is a temporary overload causing the breaker to trip. Check the breaker box. When the air conditioning unit was installed, the breaker box panel should be marked to indicate which breaker is for what point of service. If the air conditioner breaker has been tripped, simply push all the way to off, then reset. Check unit fuses and motors as shown in following exercises. Air conditioning. Fuse replacement. Depending on your unit, no tools are required to replace fuses. You will only need the correct valued replacement fuses. In this illustration, cartridge-type fuses are shown. After checking main breaker panel to ensure that breaker is in the on position, open the air conditioning unit's fuse box. Remove the fuse holder. Check the fuses for burns and corrosion. Replace with correct value fuse. As a safety feature, it is recommended that the fuse box be locked. If the problem is not solved with fuse replacement, check for charred wires in the breaker panel box and in the fuse box. It is possible you have a short due to wiring. Air conditioning. Freon loss test. To check for freon loss in the air conditioning unit, you will need a crescent wrench and a brush or swab. You will also need a liquid soap and water mixture. With air conditioning unit running, at the compressor unit, find the large copper line. If line is cool and not sweating, freon level is low. Trace lines to connections. Brush or swab on soap and water mixture. If a bubble is found at the connection, tighten with the crescent wrench. After tightening, check connection again with the soap and water test. Air conditioning. Oiling air conditioner motor. To oil the air conditioning unit motors, you will need a crescent wrench, pliers, and an oil can with long tubing. Turn off power to unit. In this example, we have removed the fuse plug. Remove the grill cover. Pull the protective plugs from the unit's motor. Using a lightweight machine oil, lubricate all locations. Note, this operation requires a long flex tubing to reach the oil locations. Replace protective plugs. Replace the grill. Restore power. Note, at the heat and air closet, oil the furnace fan in the same manner. Insulation. Sealing wall penetration. To seal an exterior wall penetration from air loss, typically a common problem, you will need a putty knife and, for safety, wear rubber gloves. An insulating foam-type sealant is the material you will need. Common heat and air loss can be found around the base of the foundation, as indicated here, at sill plates, and around pipes. Use an insulating foam sealant. Penetrate the opening with the tubing and fill the void completely. Insulation. Loose door fitting. A loose fitting door can result in heat and air loss. You will need a Phillips head screwdriver, a tape measure, a hammer, a chisel, and a pencil. You will also need stick matches and white glue. To adjust a loose-fitting door, you must move the strike plate closer to the door jamb. How much you move the strike plate will depend on how much play there is in the door. Remove strike plate and measure to determine how much room you have to realign. Chisel area next to door jamb so strike plate can be moved to a tighter position. Place strike plate in new position, checking to see it fits the newly chiseled area. Fill in old screw holes with matchsticks and white glue, reinforcing where the new holes will be created. Using the strike plate as a template, mark the new holes. Use nail punch to start new screw holes. Install strike plate in new position. Close door to check for tightness. Insulation. Water heater blanket. A special insulation blanket wrapped around the hot water heater will save money. You will need a tape measure, a box knife, and a straight edge. You will also need a water heater insulating blanket kit and duct tape. Measure around the water heater to determine width of the blanket. When measuring, be sure to leave plenty of extra. It's better to have more blanket than not enough. Use a straight edge to help when you cut with the box knife. Any straight edge will do. In this example, we used a broom handle. Measure for the opening around the temperature control housing and cut blanket as appropriate. To install the blanket, work it around the water heater, placing the cut opening over the temperature controls. Place straps around the blanket and tighten. With duct tape, tape blanket to the top of the water heater to help hold the weight of the blanket. Insulation. Window frames. To further stop heat and air loss, seal areas around window frames. You will need a caulking gun and caulking compound and a putty knife. Clean area around window frames before applying caulk. Hold the caulking gun at a 45-degree angle to the area to be caulked. Slant the base of the gun in the direction of the movement. The caulking compound should adhere to both sides of the joint so as to assure a good seal. Using a putty knife, push the caulking compound into the joint. Repeat the process as you work your way down the window. Use a rag to remove excess compound. Insulation. Furnace room. In the furnace room or closet, you will save money if you seal or caulk at the base of the furnace. You will need a caulking gun and caulking compound. A silicone type is preferred. Using the caulking gun, caulk joints where the furnace unit meets the base or platform. Insulation. Attic. When working with any insulation material, always wear gloves and a dust mask. Long-sleeve clothing to protect your skin is recommended. The measure of an insulation material's capacity to block the flow of heat loss is known as its R value. The higher the R value, the greater the insulator. If your attic has little or no insulation, you would be wise to check with your local building department to determine what would be appropriate for your situation. Here are shown two typical kinds of insulation that are used in attics. On the left is a loose fluff insulation. On the right is a solid rolled insulator. Insulation, air conditioning and heat ducts. To cover heating and air conditioning ducts, you will need cotton gloves, safety glasses, a dust mask, and a box knife. You will also need insulation wrap, spray adhesive, and duct tape. By wrapping heat and air ducts, you can expect the utmost efficiency from those units and prevent heat and air loss. Determine duct size and shape, round or rectangular. Spray duct with adhesive spray at one end to start insulation wrapping. Wrap ducts as you would an ace bandage. Spray with adhesive and cut insulation with a box knife. You may want to ensure the tightness of the wrap with the addition of duct tape. Always protect bare skin and eyes when working with insulation. It is extremely advisable to wear a dust mask. Ceramic tile. Tile replacement. To replace a chipped or cracked ceramic tile, you will need a grout saw, a trowel, a sponge, a cold chisel, and hammer. The materials you will need are grout and acrylic latex adhesive. Using a grout saw, remove grout surrounding the damaged tile. Work carefully so as not to scar adjacent tile. Sponge off grout dust. Using a cold chisel and hammer, chip from the center of the tile to the outer edges. Chisel small pieces at a time and don't get in a hurry. Clean out all tile debris. Place new tile in void and check for proper height in relation to other tiles. Apply an acrylic latex adhesive to the middle area where the tile is to be placed. Set tile in position, pressing down. Allow 24 hours to cure. Mix grout material with water to create a paste-like substance. Apply with a trowel to tile joints. Grout will not stick to the tile surface. Allow grout to cure approximately 15 minutes and sponge off excess material. Carpentry. Sticking door. To ease a sticking door, you will need a hammer and a wood block and size 8D finish nails. Open and partly close door to check where it rubs the jamb. Using a 2x2 or 2x4 wood block, drive in door jamb with hammer at points where door sticks. If the problem continues, set an 8D-sized finish nail into the jamb at the point of trouble. If this does not relieve the sticking problem, remove door and plane edge where it rubs. Carpentry. Sagging door. To repair a sagging door, you will need a Phillips head screwdriver, white glue, and wood matchsticks. A sagging door may simply be due to loose screws in the hinge plate. Tighten if necessary. If hinge screws are stripped, remove the screws. Fill the cavity with glue-dipped wood matchsticks. Tap in the matchsticks and break off excess. Reset with new screw. Tighten all hinge plate screws. Carpentry. Warped cabinet door. A warped cabinet door can easily be repaired using a woodblock wedge, a hammer, and a size 6 finishing nail. Where door is tight against the wood stile or casing, place a wood block between the back of the door and the stile. Close door on the block and gently push at the opposite end against the stile as shown. After some time of pressure being applied, remove block and check to see if door is sprung back to proper alignment. If need requires, place block as shown and nail cabinet door to hold pressure in place. Hole can be repaired as shown in the wood touch-up segment. Carpentry. Door trimming. To trim a door, you will need a tape measure, a pencil, a hammer, a screwdriver, a straight edge, a portable jigsaw or skill saw, a plane, and a paintbrush. For safety, wear safety glasses. You will also need a varnish or paint sealer. A common problem when new carpeting is installed is that the door will not clear the higher pile. Therefore, the door will need to be trimmed. Measure distance from bottom on each end. Remove door from hinges. Place on sawhorses or similar stable surface. Use a straight edge to scribe a saw cut line on the door. Trim with a skill saw or portable jigsaw. Plane smooth. Prime raw wood with a sealer or primer and paint. Rehang door. Carpentry. Door hanging. To hang a new door, you will need the following: a tape measure, pencil, straight edge, a chisel, hammer, box knife, Phillips screwdriver, skill saw, sanding block, paintbrush, putty knife, and masking tape. You will need the new door, wood putty, and varnish or paint sealer. Measure and mark door hinge location. Solid doors have 3 or 4 hinges. Hollow doors have 2 or 3 hinges. Measure length of entire door and mark new door to proper length. Mortise or chisel on marks to flush hinge with jam. It may help to outline the hinge marks with a box knife before chiseling. Locate hinge which will fit on door 1/8 inch below location on jam to allow for header clearance. Measure entire length of door. Use straight edge to mark bottom. With masking tape, mask along cutting line to avoid splintering while making the cut. Saw bottom of door with a fine cut saw blade. Sand bottom of door and seal freshly cut wood. Wood putty any holes if necessary, as shown. Allow to dry, sand, and reseal. Mount door. If too tight, plain where necessary. Carpentry. Metal threshold. To install a metal threshold in a doorway, you will need a power drill and bit, a vacuum, and a caulking gun. You will need masonry shields or anchors, weatherproof caulking, and the new metal threshold. Remove old threshold and clean the area. The new threshold will be wider than the opening. Simply mark the threshold where it touches the variations in the door jamb. Mark and hacksaw accordingly. File rough edges and trim rubber. Once fit, mark holes in floor. Remove the threshold and drill holes where marked for anchors or masonry shields. Vacuum holes to remove debris. Set in masonry shields or anchors. Replace threshold and screw down into anchors. Some caulking may be used around base of threshold and door jamb. Carpentry, wood threshold. To install a new wood threshold, you will need a hammer, crowbar, pencil, straight edge, hand saw or portable jigsaw, power drill and bit, paintbrush, and countersink. You will also need varnish or paint sealer, size 8D finish nails, and the new oak wood threshold. Open door fully wide or take door off hinges. If necessary, remove the door stop. With a pry bar or claws of a hammer, lift up old threshold. If necessary, use a hammer and wood chisel to split the threshold out. With the new wood threshold, transfer measurements or use old threshold as a template, marking ends to fit. Cut width and notch for door jambs. Drill starter holes and paint with wood sealer on the underside and ends. Nail or wood screw into place. Be sure to countersink nail heads. You can finish nail holes with wood putty and, after curing, sand before painting. Carpentry, deadbolt and lock set. To install a lock set and deadbolt, you will need a hammer, chisel, and Phillips head screwdriver, plus new lock set and deadbolt kits. If old door is available, measure distance from top to establish location for lock set and deadbolt. If old door is not available, use template that comes in the kit. Use template to mark offset and locate position to drill. Drill 2 holes, one for the lock cylinder, one for the deadbolt. Measure for strike plate. Drill edge for strike plate using a spade bit. Inset cylinder and deadbolt, and mark for mortising or chiseling. Measure thickness of strike plate and chisel. Inset and tighten screws in place. Note, some deadbolt locks have double cylinders and must be opened with a key on both sides. Inset lock set into hung door and assemble per the manufacturer's instructions in the kit. If you have, as in this illustration, a hand pull style lock set, measure top and bottom for proper alignment and complete mounting. Inset deadbolt and connect exterior and interior parts. Measure deadbolt's latch position and thickness and transfer to door jamb. Use strike plate as template and mark area to be mortised or chiseled. Drill with spade bit and chisel to thickness of strike plate. Mount screws in strike plate. Carpentry, door peephole. To install a peephole in the front door, you will need a straight edge, pencil, power drill, spade bit, and flathead chisel. You will need a peephole kit. Mark peephole location on door to accommodate the shortest adult in your family. With centered spot marked, drill with the spade bit. Insert viewer and eyepiece in door. Thread on large flanged ring and tighten securely from the interior door side using the flathead chisel as a screwdriver. Carpentry, broom sweep door guard. A broom sweep door guard will keep out insects as well as stop wind and cold air from curling under the door. You will need a Phillips head screwdriver, a hole punch, hacksaw, tape measure, pencil, and metal file. You will also need a new broom sweep kit. Select proper color broom sweep kit and the correctly measured length for your door. Place broom sweep at door bottom, letting it rest on threshold beneath door. With hole punch, mark where screws will be placed. Inset screws and the broom sweep is installed. If the sweep is too long, use a hacksaw to trim and file smooth edges before installation. Carpentry, door stops. To install door stops, you will need a hole punch, a crescent wrench, screwdriver, and a hammer. There are two types of door stops shown here, a spring door stop and a hinge type door stop. On the floor baseboard, punch hole in the baseboard. Screw in door stop until snug. For the hinge type, pull door hinge pin, insert door stop, and replace hinge pin. Adjust arm for proper door opening width. Carpentry, base cabinet installation. To install a base cabinet or vanity, you will need a level, power drill and bit, Phillips head screwdriver, hammer and chisel. You will need the new cabinet, shims, and Phillips head wood screws. If necessary, make cuts after measuring in back of cabinet to clear for plumbing pipes. Check floor to see if level. Use wood shims as shown to level cabinet as necessary. Secure cabinet with nails or screws. Trim off excess shims. If sink type, mount top and caulk. Carpentry. Towel bar installation. To install a towel bar rack or toilet paper holder, you will need a tape measure, pencil, level, power drill and small spade bit, hammer, and screwdriver. You will also need anchors or wall plugs or split wing toggles, plus the new towel bar. Measure for desired height and check for level. Mark and drill holes. Insert dowels or plastic anchors and check for alignment. Screw in place. You may wish to use toggle wing bolts in place of plastic anchors. If you can vary location, simply screw directly into wall stud for better anchoring. Painting. Wood touch-up. To touch up marred wood surfaces, you will need a putty knife and glazing putty, paint or stain, and/or grout color. After cleaning the surface, mix glazing compound and putty stain to achieve matching color. Thoroughly mix ingredients to avoid powder white pockets. Using putty knife, spread across marred or distressed area, making sure there are no voids or pinholes. Wipe excess with putty knife and clean cloth. Painting. Interior paint peeling. To repair interior paint peeling, you will need a putty knife, sandpaper, paintbrush, caulking gun, a paint roller with short nap, and paint tray. Interior peeling is caused by moisture or a subsurface that was unclean when painted, or a too glossy surface. Scrape walls to remove peeling paint. Spackle any gouges or holes. Sand rough surfaces. Clean with brush. Caulk any joints and remove excess caulk. Apply primer coat. If walls are dusting or chalking, wash first with damp cloth prior to applying primer coat. Painting. Mildew cover-up. To cover mildew, usually found in the bathroom or sometimes the kitchen, you will need a paintbrush and a product known as Kilz. On a clean, dry surface, brush on Kilz over affected mildew areas to kill and seal stains. Let dry thoroughly and paint to match. Painting. Weather-damaged surface, alligator. To cover weather-damaged surfaces, known as alligatoring, you will need a paint scraper, an electric belt sander, a sanding block, sandpaper, putty knife, and paintbrush. You will also need wood putty and paint. Scrape area to be repaired with a paint scraper. Alligatoring is often caused by improper preparation of previous paint applications, moisture, too many layers of paint, or painting during inappropriate weather. Use an electric belt sander to sand as smooth as possible. Hand sanding may be required in certain hard-to-reach areas. Brush area clean. Putty coat defects in surface. Let dry thoroughly. Sand smooth with sanding block. Brush clean. Apply prime coat with paintbrush. Allow to dry thoroughly and apply finish coat. Painting. Weather-damaged peeling paint. To repair peeling paint surfaces, you will need a wood paint scraper, sanding block, sandpaper, putty knife, and paintbrush. You will also need wood putty, primer paint, and paint to match the existing surface. Remove loose peeling paint with scraper. Alternate methods of removing paint are heat application and chemical strippers. If oil, dirt, or grease are present, you must wash the surface before you scrape. If peeling is localized to one area, moisture may be the cause. Seek the location of the moisture source, otherwise peeling will reoccur. Sand the surface smooth after scraping. Putty all holes, cracks, or gouges. Allow putty to dry, then sand smooth. Clean off surface of sand grit. Apply primer coat. Allow to dry thoroughly before applying finishing coat. Painting. Caulking interior joints. To caulk interior joints where trim edges meet walls, you will need a caulking gun, a rag, and a putty knife. Use drop cloth on floor or mask baseboard area. Load caulking gun with painter's caulk. Start at the top of the joint. Apply with a long and rapid motion to produce a more consistent bead. Wrap a cloth rag around the putty knife and wipe in a continuous motion so as to force fresh caulk into the crevice. Wipe off any excess caulk. Painting. Freeing stuck windows. To free a stuck window, you will need a wood block, a hammer, pry bar, putty knife, paint scraper, and a rag. Windows usually stick for one of three reasons. Paint or dirt gets into the edges or grooves. Secondly, rain causes expansion or swelling of the wood parts. And third, weather stripping fits too snugly. To remedy the problem, place a wood block between the inside jamb and hammer to push the frame away from the sash. To break a paint seal, run a putty knife between the parting strip and the window sash as shown. Use a pry bar with a piece of wood as a wedge so as not to damage the sill. Slip the pry bar under the bottom rail and pry upward to free window. Once window is up, use paint scraper to clean out the edges, the inside stop, and where appropriate, as shown. Wipe clean.